Is it a spell? We receive tons of stories of romance scam victims from across the globe. A lot of the stories are always the same. They met a doctor, soldier, pilot, oil rig worker, and more. They were told that they were a single father, a widow with a small child, and they're often working abroad, deployed, or on the famous contract. Then there's a crisis, a sick child, some sort of emergency, or the famous frozen bank account where you are their only hope, and they ask you for money or gift cards to lift them out of the so called crisis. And as soon as you help them, they'll be sure to rush home to you and you'll live happily ever after. While many people roll their eyes at the stories, and oftentimes there are comments of how can anyone fall for such nonsense? One comment that comes up every so often is if a spell was cast on a target victim to cause them to give up cash and gift cards so easily. We've had many victims tell us that they felt like they were, quote, under a spell when they were speaking to their so called love of their life online, as if their common sense went right out the window and they were feeling controlled and gave up cash and gift cards easily without ever thinking. So, this brings up the thought of scammers using spells to control victims. While this might sound a little absurd at first, in reality, a lot of romance scammers, especially those from places where spellcasters are as common as coffee shops, and other countries in the USA, it's not so common. But overseas, it could happen. To a Western mind, the concept of a spellcaster sounds like something out of a movie. But in reality, many parts of the world not only use spellcasters, but they rely on them to help with their daily success in life, including many romance scammers. While I'm not saying I believe in the power of a spellcaster, due to my Western mind not knowing enough about the subject, there are many who do believe in such things, and many romance scammers use them regularly to help in their success with their scams and financial gain. There have been situations where victims have reached out to us and have absolutely no explanation as to why they handed over their life savings to someone they've never met in person. They tell us they felt like their mind was being controlled. Whether you believe in romance scammers casting spells on victims or not, in any situation, you are more powerful than any spell. Take a step back before sending money or gift cards and listen to the whole story while you've had a good step back and you can see the whole picture. Many romance scammers try and sleep deprive their victims, calling them all hours of the day and night. We've seen this with our character Betty. One scammer called her over 400 times in the course of a few days, letting her phone ring night and day over and over every few minutes. If this had been a real target victim, they might have left their phone turned on and been woken up day and night by a romance scammer. This alone can sometimes be enough to drive someone to not think clearly. Remember, romance scammers depend on wearing a person down mentally and emotionally so they don't think clearly about the situation at hand, and they often pressure their target victims to make quick and hasty decisions. Whether spellcasting plays a part in the victim sending money is hard to truly know, but sleep deprivation, pressure to act immediately, and making the victim fall in love, and the way they shower their so called one and only love with roses, love poems, and romantic songs and attention truly do play a factor in the whole romance scam. The best thing you can do is the easiest. Take a step back, pause, sleep, think, and review. Look at what the person has told you from the beginning until the moment they ask you for money or gift cards. Don't bend to pressure to send cash right then and there. Pause and look at the whole picture. Above all, don't fear the person or their so called spells or threats. You control the situation and you alone make the decision to press pause on everything and see things for what they are, or to just ignore all the red flags and send these scammers money and gift cards, which you should never do. At the end of the day, the choices are your own. Sleep is key, pausing is key. Spells or not, you control the situation always. Stay safe.